Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of Civilian Principles. My name is Will and today we will be discussing the roles that you should have set in your team, as well as expanding onto community roles. Before we get started, please like, comment, and subscribe. Doing any or all of the three help us get content out to people who may be struggling to find their way through this community. Now, on to the video. So, you decided to quit Roblox, turn off your computer, and venture out beyond your parents' basement.
Excuse me, the fuck did you just say?
Now you might be wondering, what do I do next? Well, it looks like you already acquired all the Gucci hypebeast gear you could need. All you need now are some friends and a common goal. Now, you need people who aren't carbon copies of yourself. You're going to need people with different skill sets and life experiences that you yourself may be lacking in or just don't know altogether. Having a well-rounded team will enable you to accomplish whatever your mission or your goals are. Now, a team is going to consist of anywhere from 3 to 5 people. Just for this video, we're going to focus right down the middle on a 4-man team. Obviously, the likelihood of you having access to a saw, a 240, some type of machine gun is going to be pretty low. So we're going to remove any sort of gunner position out of your team requirements and roles.
This is bullshit.
And unfortunately, same goes for grenadiers. Since we're rolling out those positions, what does that exactly leave us with? And before I get absolutely pegged in the comments, just understand that this is my shared opinion of building out a team and the requirements you might need for a team, all right? Just based off of my experiences and what I've been talking about with other people and how exactly you can build that foundation. And if you disagree or maybe have an alternative role or something else you might want to add to this, go ahead and just drop it right down in the comments and start a discussion. Or at your worst, just call me a fucking idiot. First up, you're going to need a team leader. Now, your team leader doesn't have to be decided upon immediately. They also don't have to be the person that brought this group together. Once you have decided how many people you need for your group, in this case 4, bring them together, run some drills and some scenarios, and then make a decision or vote based off the best plan, tactics, knowledge, and overall ability to effectively communicate, as well as the ability to get the group to work together towards a specific objective and common goal. Your team leader should also be the most well-rounded individual in terms of technical and tactical knowledge. That doesn't mean they are a subject matter expert in every possible area. They simply need to have a great understanding of everything you all have decided is important and contain the ability to utilize everyone's strengths in those fields, as well as understanding what their weaknesses are to better avoid certain catastrophes or disasters in the future. One thing your team leader will need to understand is that controlling the team is more crucial in a situation than it is to be actively participating and becoming, I guess you could say, front sight focused. The team leader has to make the distinction of when to engage and when to lead. The hardest part of being a team leader is understanding and implementing the drawing of the line. What I mean by that is if you choose someone or yourself are chosen to lead, you have to be able to actually listen to people or be able to listen to that person that's been appointed above you. If you're chosen as a leader, you have to cut certain things off in order to establish a baseline for that leadership role. Now, too many times, leaders will become almost best friends with their team, and when it comes down to direction and guidance being given, those groups' thoughts, opinions will often taint what is being said and cause disruption between you and your element, solely based off the fact that you guys are all very best friends, and while there might be someone put in place as that team leader, they might not have the ability that they should have to lead the group. Now, I'm not saying you can't be friends with your element or even close with your element, but at the end of the day, it's a very difficult line to walk. And same goes for the flip side. If you and your group choose a leader, understand that you all chose that person, or at least a majority of you did. You can't be upset and petty that you weren't chosen. You'll diminish what you've set out to do and destroy future progression for your team. Now, the role of the medic is arguably one of the most important roles in any group. Your medic doesn't have to be a neurosurgeon, nor do they have to be a seasoned combat medic. They don't have to be the world's greatest EMT, whatever the case. They do, however, have to possess the knowledge and necessary abilities of providing aid to your group when available. I have to stress when available. And I'm stressing this because if something is to happen, that medic needs to be able to continue through whatever the situation is before applying any sort of aid. Yes, I understand the medic's goal is to save a life and assist in the treatment of your team, but that can't happen if you're fucked because your medic has decided to put a tourniquet on someone before your situation has been deemed clear for comfort. Your medic should be well versed in weapons and sustainment, but should also be the subject matter expert in that field, which is medical knowledge. However, your medic should not and will not be in your succession of command. Succession of command. Who is put in charge in the event that a key leader has to step away? Or in certain cases, you're the CEO of a healthcare company and you were just JFK'd on a sidewalk in New York. An example of succession of command would be, let's say you're the manager at a McDonald's and you were just fired for snitching on a Nintendo character. Now the assistant manager has to fill in on that higher role. And if that assistant manager was abducted by one of those New Jersey drones, the shift leader would step up. But the reason your medic cannot be in that succession of command is due to the fact that their job requires too much focus and dedication. If they have to worry about maneuvering a team, figuring out follow-on missions or routes, or having to conduct area recon, then what was considered their main focus has now become secondary and could cause serious problems in their aid or treatment of the members of your group, team, whatever. Now, your medic will also be the person that is responsible for getting everyone on the same level in terms of providing self-aid as well as aid to others. And when time allows it, training and expanding your team's skill sets to further one's ability to provide self-aid. Outdoorsman, that's a weird term. I couldn't really think of anything better, so I'll kind of describe it. But your outdoorsman should be someone that is balls deep into the world of bushcraft and survival. Now, I know that most men are born with the ability to land a plane as well as drink and drive.
Hey, pal, what can I do you for? Free drinks, what do you have?
But most men don't understand how to build a shelter, start a fire, or simply purifying their own water. Now, you have to understand this person is not responsible for making everyone's dinner and getting them ready for bed with some magical floating A-frame. Their job is to utilize their knowledge and environment and help in the construction layouts for any sort of camp or patrol base you might find yourself in. Again, they're not doing this for you, but they need to be able to provide a heightened level of advice to help you enhance what you're doing, as well as teach and guide you to better yourself for the overall betterment of your group. Some key tasks that they should probably be in charge of is setting up animal traps, water filtration, automated area security like booby traps, and enhanced camouflaging techniques. They also need to be the person who is assisting the team leader in finding areas to set up for LPOP uses, as well as land to utilize for a patrol base. All that being said, this person is probably going to be your second in charge, or at least second in your succession of command. Yes, Mr. John Reconnoiter himself. It'll be extremely beneficial for you to have someone who possesses the ability of conducting single-man recon while also being able to engage at a farther distance than the other members of your team. Now, I'm not saying this guy is going out and doing some tier 1 CIA assassin shit, which if you want to see that stuff, The Day of the Jackal, amazing show. I think the best show I've ever watched. Go ahead and watch it. It's on Peacock. But what I'm saying is that having a member of your team who's extremely skilled in camouflage, precision shooting, conducting patterns of life, utilizing technology and primitive skills such as the ability to track and stalk another human being, it's only going to aid you in your group's ability to conduct anything requiring you to leave your fortified position. And I bring this role up because not a lot of people understand just how tedious it can be to gather information on a certain group or area and be able to effectively relay that info using things like notes or sketches of the area. Typically speaking, someone who's been in that reconnaissance and sniper role prior to you forming your team, they're usually more physically fit than most. They can travel with a large amount of weight over long distances and also move over long distances in rough terrain quicker than most people. You won't be using this person as your group's designated hitman, all right? It's not their job. This person's entire job is to move without being spotted and to document things that can give your group an edge for your collective goals. A secondary to this would be their ability to conduct distant engagements, allowing you, I guess, an additional layer of security for your team, your element, or just your general area. All right, so that's what you should have as a baseline for your team. Obviously, this is a small element, all right? Your goal is not to retake Jerusalem. No! Your end goal should be to train and become more proficient in a wide range of skills while also honing in on your specific role. But now let's move on to roles of your community. First and foremost, a community should consist of about 2 to 3 teams worth of people, preferably more. A community is something that will take time to build. It's not going to happen overnight. Ideally, you want your community to be roughly within a 10-mile radius of where you're at, or at least the center line of where everyone's at. I bring up that distance because if something was to happen, you'd want these people as close as possible to be able to start building and fortifying an area that can sustain everyone. And yes, you can have people a part of your community that are outside of that mileage. Most people here have the bones of a community and they are way farther than that 10-mile radius. But if your community is all under the impression that if there was a need to band together and they can stay a great distance from each other, it'll somehow magically work, and quite frankly, they're wrong. So let's start getting into your community roles. Homesteaders might be one of the most, if not the most, important role in a community, and I think we all know why. But for those of you that don't know or don't understand, the reason is these people crave the ability to rely on themselves and their land. Some would consider it an obsession, while others would consider it return to monk. In all seriousness, I absolutely believe that anyone in the homesteader trade needs to be a priority in your community. The amount of knowledge they have on gardening, canning, and all-around automated sustainment not requiring our beloved 24/7 Walmart, rest in peace. These people will have to be held at a higher level of respect than most others in this community, and let me explain why. These people will have to be held at a higher level of respect than most others in a community. Now, don't get it twisted. They don't get to be shitty people because they understand that water plus seed equals food better than anyone else. But if that person or people are the reason why you're not being sent on killer capture missions for dog food in another town, then it's safe to say they'll end up with a higher leadership role in that community to ensure priorities are set for the health and longevity of your area, your community, your team, your family, whoever's there. Now, the role of security, that's kind of a vague, broad statement. Obviously, you'd have the rules carried over from your team, but 4 people realistically won't be enough to keep a community secure. Ideally, you'd like to look at an additional 5 to 8 people just to assist with securing your area so the following roles can carry out their daily tasks without being thrown on firewall. But in all reality, unless you're a really trusting person and you've personally known about 5 to 8 people who are model citizens, the next roles will have to contribute to securing your community in order to survive and grow. Doctors and or nurses, I think it's pretty self-explanatory. Next up is going to be an electrician. If something was to happen that would require us to assemble our community, an electrician would be vital to a safer and comfortable either living arrangement, area securedness, anything like that. Now, outside of normal safety measures that utilize electricity such as camera systems and traditional early warning measures, my biggest concern outside of human interaction would be the threat of Mother Nature herself. Depending on the climate you live in, summer and winter can be really deadly to any community that dwells in either really harsh cold or really harsh heat, and then anywhere in between. The world changes all the time and the seasons can suck. Having someone who can equip solar or generators to any building or structure, providing the ability to cool or heat an area, is crucial towards your community's survival. Yes, if it gets cold, you can always build a fire, but in areas where firewood isn't as available, having someone who can enable what most buildings have in terms of HVAC while guaranteeing that you won't die of hypothermia or heat stroke, that's a pretty prioritized role for me, and I believe many others when it comes to community building. On top of that, having access to electricity that allows you to store food, run water pumps, water purification, and any sort of cooking aid while not having to burn through the items you have accumulated over the years for, let's say, emergency purposes, that's a massive advantage when it comes to beating the hand that you've been dealt. But having a carpenter means having someone who can fix issues that come along with the natural degradation of buildings and furnitures, as well as the ability to create simpler items such as beds and tables. And I mean, fuck, you can go all the way up to more complicated items such as guard posts, storage sheds, advanced road barricades, animal pens. A carpenter can do a lot with guidance from a community leader or being told to let your imagination fly and just go for it. Welders. Now, most of the time, a welder comes with the limitation of available electricity. Now, let's say you have an electrician that has done enough prepping and installation and equipping that warrants the use of welding equipment. That welder can fix a lot of shit, improve the stability of items, upgrade the fortification of stuff like guard posts, houses, barriers, as well as repair items like vehicle frames, farming machinery, or can just create stuff out of the blue. And you pair that with an electrician, you can do a lot just off of boat or recreational batteries. All right, so I know you just saw it said librarian. You're probably thinking, what the fuck is my 60-year-old librarian gonna do to help build the most elite Walking Dead compound I can create? And that's not what I'm talking about. You're going to want to dedicate someone who preferably now is going to start collecting or at least printing out key reading materials that would be otherwise deemed lost in the event of the internet going out. Having someone who's built a survivalist library will be extremely helpful for day-to-day tasks such as vehicle repair, building structures, and rudimentary healthcare. Whenever it's convenient to this librarian, have them collect or print off books like teaching materials for the youth as well. And I'm not even joking about that one either. Like, that's you have to have that sort of stuff. Because whether you like it or not, children will end up being involved in your community, and it'll be your job to be a parent to them, which includes teaching them to read and write and whatever else naturally progresses over the 18-year span. And I'm not saying you have to be that parent for them, but more than likely they're going to come to you and ask, how do I do this or how do I do that, whether their parents are there or not. All right, a vet or a vet tech. Animals are a huge part of our lives, and with animals come animal medical problems. Whether it's your dog, the animals that you are using to farm or provide dairy or meat, or the horse you ride, at some point they will need care, and if you can't provide the necessary aid to them, someone else will need to be there for them. Not only can a vet help your animal, but most cases vets can assist in human aid as well. All right, a seamstress.
I got my own sweatshop, nigga. Goddamn.
Seamstress might seem weird, but being able to recruit someone that is knowledgeable in the mystic arts known as sewing will greatly help your quality of life and the longevity of your clothing and gear. A good seamstress will be able to make alterations and either fix or patch most materials. And it's one of the few things that doesn't require electricity. Obviously, you do have the pedal ones, but someone with non-Michael J. Fox hands and a needle can do a lot of good work. There will come a point where you're either gaining weight or losing it, or your items are simply just naturally degrading and become worn over the years, and you won't have a Burlington coat factory to pick up a Patagonia ski vest from. And the last role for your community prioritization is going to be a mechanic, and I really don't think I need to explain why. So those are key roles I believe should be prioritized when building your team and community. Obviously, there are a multitude of roles out there that you will benefit from, whether it's recruiting a subject matter expert or someone on the path to said role. There's always a need for someone's particular skill set. And again, these are the roles I believe should be prioritized. This is not the end-all, be-all for what you should have. This is just heavy hitting prioritizations that'll help you at least set up or have longevity for sustainment. Please extract the information and ideas I've provided, form your own plan that works for you and your group, and then start to build. If you have additional roles that you want to add to this group, go ahead and comment what it is and why down below. Or if you feel your role should be placed higher or lower on the totem pole, 1, explain what that role is and why, and then 2, explain why that role should be higher on the prioritization. But sincerely, thank you all for making it this far into the video. It really does mean a lot to us over here at Civilian Principles. Just recently hit, I want to say it's 2,450 subscribers. That blows my mind, so thank you. I really appreciate that. The last video got 17,000 views, and that is fucking insane for a small channel like myself. All the socials are in a link tree below. It's gonna be Discord and Instagram that's on there. The Discord is really cool. There's a lot of information that gets shared, as well as just a lot of memes and random tidbits here and there. But someone commented on the last video saying they had joined the Discord, hadn't even said a word, and had already been called a Fed. And then we have the Google Drive that has a bunch of different TMs and all sorts of knowledge on there to help you build your own library. And finally, remember, you can always be better. You can always train harder, and you can always grow. You need to get fit, you need to help yourself mentally, and you need to help your family by not being their reckoning. And as always, don't be a liability.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar!